Okay, we're going to change the spark plugs out here in a 2015 Jeep Patriot. It's 10 to 7, so let's see how long this takes. So I've got the engine cover open here. First thing you're going to do is pull this dust cover off, and that comes off just by pulling it up. I haven't done anything else there, just pulled it off, so you're going to put that aside. So if you see here, this is where the 4 spark plugs are. There's a T30 Torx screw on each of those. So I'm going to undo each of those here. I'll just show the first one, and then we'll do the others off camera just because it'll be easier and I won't lose the screw. As you can see, those are not particularly big, and it just takes a matter of seconds to undo the 4 of them. Key, put them in a pocket, put them in a container. Do not let them lie around, because if you lose these, you're going to start having a bad day. Now that you've undone the screw, you're simply going to gently pull this off. And I may have to use 2 hands to do it, but you're going to pull that off. No, there we go. And you can see there is the cap and the boot, they call it, that goes on top of the spark plug. And the spark plug, if you can see it, is down the bottom of that hole. So we're going to pull all 4 of these off, and again I'll do that off camera just so I can use 2 hands each. Now what I have here is a 5/8 inch socket. It's a socket that's especially built for spark plugs, and that's because in there's a little rubber piece that will hold on to the top of the spark plug and pull it out. If it doesn't work, you just have to get a magnet and pull it straight out of there. So here's the extension. I put a 6-inch extension on there, and now this should work. Just drop it down there and get it set so that it's going to loosen. And I'll do that off camera because I'm going to use 2 hands here. So you can see that it came out there quite easily, just pulled straight out as soon as I got it unscrewed. You can see here it's fairly dirty. It's not too bad. It's about 50,000 kilometers, or 80,000 kilometers, 50,000 miles. But as you can see on these, much cleaner, ready to go. The gap here is the gap between the electrode and the arm that comes down here. The manufacturer will tell you what it should be for your particular vehicle. In this particular one, Jeep Patriot, it's about 0.044, and that's the gap that's already set to pre-gapped. These particular Bosch ones, you could measure it, but I'm not going to bother here. Now here what I have is dielectric grease. Dielectric grease is something that stops conductivity. So you do not want to put it on anything metal on the plug, because that's generally going to be conducting electricity. But what you do want to put it on is this part here. That's the part that is the ceramic, and if you put a bit on there, make sure that you don't get any shorting out. You don't absolutely have to do it, but it's not a bad idea. You might be able to see I'm putting a pretty small amount of dielectric grease just surrounding the ceramic part, again making very sure not to get anything on the conducting part, the metal. So I've done 3 out of the 4 now, and I'll just show this one on camera. So it'll take a bit of effort to get the first part going, but once you break the little seal that's there, you can just see it takes a few turns. You'll feel it actually come out. And that's probably about it. Not quite. And there we go. Now there's the old plug. Now I'm going to put the new one in. I've already put some dielectric grease on that, so I just put it back in there, making sure that I don't get grease on the metal. just to make sure I don't cross thread it, I just turn this by hand so I can feel quite easily if I'm cross threading. It's going in just fine. Get it till it makes contact, and then we'll tighten it up. I'm not actually using a torque wrench here. I have in the past, but I got a pretty good sense of what 21 pounds is. You want it tight but not too tight, and there it's done. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these boots back on, and I'm going to see, and then we are done. So we'll start with this one. We push the boot down on top of it, and one, again, push the boot down on top, two, three, and here's the fourth. I can find the screw. You want to hold on to these things tightly, because if you lose one down the motor, it's officially not fun. And now, as you can see by my watch, maybe, it is 7:15. That took 25 minutes. A lot of that time was setting up the use of the camera and the rest. So you could probably do this in about 15 to 20 minutes and save yourself probably $100 at the shop. And that's how you change the spark plugs in a Jeep Patriot 2015. Next thing you do is you take this piece. You'll see two black pins at the back there and two at the front. You just line those up. Find that lining up the back two first is the easiest, and you just push down. Make sure you push it down so that it stays. You don't want that bouncing around under the hood. And there you are, you're done. And as a last bit, now you can hear the engine running. Seems to be running smoothly. And so that's the completion of the change of the spark plugs. And in another 45,000 miles or something like that, I'll change them again.